Ready. Repose. Pop out. Face.
Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Left. Face. Forward. Pause. Left. Left. Right.
As they leave, we'd like to thank our Empower ROTC color guard, Amy Avilas, Joe Carruthers, Julia Carruthers, Ian Geipel, and Ethan Carver. We'd like to thank them for coming tonight. It's always the best, one of the best parts of the meeting when we get to say the pledge, but to have them here and present our colors, it was a real treat. So we'd like to thank them for that. At 6 o'clock, we do have an advertised public hearing. So I would like to convene this public hearing and call it to order and give the public or anyone here wishing to weigh in on our budget and millage. Is there anyone here tonight wishing to give some public comment? With no one moving about, I will assume there is no one. So we will close this public hearing. Our next public hearing will be Monday night in advance of our regular board meeting. So if there's anyone listening to this at home, we can come back Monday. If you didn't make it tonight, we'll have one more opportunity. We welcome public comment. We really do. So with it being 6 o'clock, we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. The September 8th work session of the Jackson County Board of Education. All members are here and present. We do have a full agenda tonight. So we'll go ahead and get started. And first item on our agenda is our superintendent's comments. So Dr. Brown, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Clarsey, and thank you, board members, for being here this evening and joining us. As Mr. Clarsey mentioned, our next opportunity to speak on the millage rate is September the 12th at 6:30, and our approval meeting for the amended budget and the millage rate is on September the 16th in this room at 7:30 a.m. If you'd like to join us for that. At this time, we have the Empower College and Career Academy highlights. Shelby Pruitt and Keely Schultz are going to come up from Empower and give us a presentation. Thank you.
Good evening. I am Shelby Pruitt from Jackson County High School. Jackson County.
I'm Schlecht from Jackson County High School.
We are here this evening to represent Empower and the community we have established over the past year. In the beginning of this process, there were so many doubts and concerns of the way the merge of these two schools. I can now say without hesitation that the merge of these two schools coming together has built such a community and has truly impacted our learning environment.
For the past year, we've established a strong foundation of what being empowered truly means. With so many amazing organizations and clubs that Empower offers, students have been involved in more ways than imaginable. From a brand new healthcare lab to hands-on machinery, students are engaged and passionate about learning.
Keely and I are both strongly involved in our FFA chapter. I can say the transition of both schools coming together has truly impacted our community. Ideas coming together to build a strong backbone, new friendships being formed, and learning together to do our best as an organization. We believe we are stronger together.
Along with FFA, I am also a proud member of Skills USA. Skills USA provides students in the audio and video and construction pathway advanced opportunities in developing technical and leadership skills in addition to working cooperatively with industry leaders. Both FFA and Skills USA organizations are empowering me to look towards a career in agriculture communication.
These beautiful arrangements that are set up here on these tables are made by our floral design class that are a part of the Ag Pathway.
Please enjoy this video on the way Empower impacts students.
Than you think. Please come on in.
I've been empowered to filmmake.
I'm empowered to run an excavator.
I'm empowered to use an architect scale.
I've been empowered to inspire and shape our future generations.
I've been empowered to try new things.
I'm empowered to power my career.
I've been empowered to help save lives.
I'm empowered to explore the limitless possibilities of establishing and operating a business.
Gary, colors. I'm empowered to be a better citizen.
I've been empowered to make a difference.
I've been empowered to work in a lab.
I've been empowered to save lives
And help others.
I've been empowered to create content for the web.
I've been empowered to make learning fun.
I've been empowered to 3D print.
We've been empowered to protect your pets.
And their food supply.
We are empowered.
We are empowered. We are empowered.
To give back to our Jackson County community.
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 At Empower, we are empowering our students to be employed, enrolled, or enlisted.
Together!
Thank you for this opportunity and support of Empower. We would welcome questions at this time. With that being said, thank you so much. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Great job, students. I want to thank the Empower administration for being here this evening, as well as the large number of teachers in the back from Empower. We really appreciate your support and being here to support our amazing students and the amazing work that's happened here each and every day. So thank you so much. Also, under the superintendent's comments, we have the FY23 BOE training plan, which includes the GSBA Winter Conference, a whole board training in March of 23, and then local orientation for new members. Been working with Mr. Sanders to get him up to speed. We did that back in August. So East Jackson Comprehensive High School will have a field turf ribbon cutting on September the 16th, which is the date before their first home football game at 7 p.m. I'd like to invite the board out as well as the community out to that event to attend and support the new turf and track at East Jackson. The next thing on the agenda under superintendent's comments is a facilities update. Board, as you know, one of the things that we've been working on over the last few weeks is the grade configuration at Legacy Knoll. And I want to reflect back and share with the community back in March of 2022, it was presented to the community a potential grade 5-6 configuration and 7-8 configuration at one of Legacy Knoll and or at West Jackson Middle School. There's been some changes that have happened since then in our community and with our school and school district. So back a few months ago, the Jackson County Board of Education voted to complete Legacy Knoll with gym and athletic fields to be completed by August of 2023. As you know, we grew another 600 students over the summer, 600 plus students over the summer, to go with the 600 students that we grew during the 21-22 school year. We also received approval from the Georgia Department of Education for a $9 million advanced funding application to build a new elementary school, and that funding is through capital outlay, which is through state funding. At the same time, we've had a increase in our SPLOST revenue over the last few months. We've been looking at a rolling average of anywhere from $1.1 to $1.2 million over the last few months. And so we've talked about, as a school district leadership team, about the possibility of accelerating the construction of a K-5 facility to compact growth. Also, one of the things in that presentation is a population projection from the governor's office. Over the next 10 years, Jackson County will go over 100,000 residents based upon the projection that the governor's office did. So it just shows you how much growth and how fast is happening. So knowing the changes since March of 22 to August of 22, what changes should be made with the grade configuration at Legacy Knoll. In March of 22, as I mentioned, it was proposed for a 5-6 grade configuration, which would make West Jackson Middle School a 7-8 grade facility. So by completing a K-5 facility in August of 24, Legacy Knoll could be a 6-8 facility. With Legacy Knoll being a 6-8 facility, changes in attendance zones would be necessary. And the building of a new elementary school would also bring the need to reconfigure our elementary school district lines on the west side to populate that school. At the same time, it gives us systematic grade configurations district-wide, K-5, 6-8s, and 9-12s. And then we've, as a district leadership team, as well as with principals of those schools, affected schools, we've looked at the pros and cons, the short-term versus the long-term decision-making. So we looked at the pros of a 6-8 facility with consistent grade bands, creating feeder clusters, the removal of the learning cottages at West Jackson Middle School, fewer transitions, more long-term relief district-wide, and allows collaboration among our middle school teachers and fifth graders next year being able to stay at their home schools of North Jackson, West Jackson, and Gum Springs. And Board, we've received a number of different avenues of feedback from our parents and our key stakeholders, and it's going to allow for more student opportunities and with fine arts as well as sports. Other considerations, thinking about as a parent, siblings in rising grades. One of the things that we have in place is House Bill 251, which allows parents to make the choice to send their kid to schools where we have available space. And so allowing parents to be able to, parents or guardians to be able to make application to attend a different school is one of the considerations that we made. Fewer staff transitions and the additional permanent classroom space, and the accelerated timeline for additions, modifications, and renovations on our east side facilities, as well as future facility needs due to growth. And we feel like 6-8 gives us the best opportunity for long-term planning within our school, considering West Jackson Middle School has crested 1,500 kids now. So with that said, at our board meeting on Monday night, I'd like to make a recommendation that we make Legacy Knoll a 6-8 facility to open in August of 2023. So with that said, I'm happy to take any questions.
Don't everybody jump in at once. So we've discussed this kind of offline, one-on-one, so I'm just going to say I think we're all, the feedback that I've received is has been favorable. We've had a lot of good discussion, spirited at times, but a good discussion, which sometimes spirited discussions lead to better outcomes. Then it reveals everyone's true heart and passion. So I do think with the money that's available for the elementary school, that's kind of changed what we were all thinking before. So that's been a real plus. I will share the feedback that I have received. I received positive feedback on what we were doing. The feedback I have received on this this plan, at first they didn't like it, but once they understood what we were trying to do from a continuity of the system, and then how do we ever get out of going to that? That was the challenge. So, but I think these school sizes were really, that's really where we're going to see a benefit. So, but as Dr. Brown said, we would like to vote on this Monday night. So I'm always sensitive to that at a work session. So certainly want to hear any comments or questions that you might have.
I'd like to thank our staff for their hard work. Dr. Brown, Mr. Schofield met with me, and I think growth has dictated this. I do think it's the right move, and just good job, everyone. We have thought this out, and I've talked to every other board member, so good job.
Well, that concludes my recommendations and my comments this evening. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Dr. Brown, thank you for that. So we'll continue moving on. I would like to encourage, I didn't say this when you mentioned it, Philip, I would like to encourage everyone that can be there Friday night the 16th at East Jackson. I will be in my East Jackson golf shirt. Dr. Brown was kind enough to make sure I didn't get beat up at the gate showing up in a Jaxco shirt or something crazy. So at any rate, I certainly hope everyone can make it that night. I plan to be there. I think it's going to be an exciting night. So I guess we're ready to move on to teaching and learning.
And if any other board members needs any East Jackson gear now that Mr. Claircy's outed me, I'm happy to take care of that for you.
I requested it. I didn't want to embarrass my fellow members.
Evening, Dr. Brown, members of the board, school and district leaders. Good to see you tonight. Well, in addition to full-time certification, Georgia teachers have the opportunity to add endorsements to their certification in specific areas. And so Jackson County offers that opportunity for our teachers as well. There's lots of reasons they might choose to get an endorsement. They may want it just to enhance their personal or their professional knowledge and their skills. They may want that to recognize expertise in a specific area. They may want that to qualify them to teach in a specialized area, or they may simply want to add that value to their certificate. So we offer many opportunities for our teachers. On this graphic, you will see we have 3 partners, vendors that we partner with to offer these endorsement options to our teachers. We do recognize and share with our teachers that when they sign up to take an endorsement class, it is a graduate level course. It's rigorous. It's an extra. It's in addition to. And so we have found great success by partnering our teachers in cohort groups. So if you are interested in getting gifted endorsed, you start on the same date as all the other teachers that's going through that endorsement. We found that creates a way for them to collaborate, sometimes commiserate, and answer questions for each other. The endorsement courses usually, or the endorsements usually consist of 3 to 4 courses and take a teacher about a year to complete. And the structure of the courses varies. So some may be self-paced, while others may be module by module where an instructor is setting that pace for the teachers. So the structure varies. So you're going to see a timeline. So each year we refine our processes. We're very reflective in how we're offering endorsements to our teachers. You'll see here on the timeline, we're obviously in that September, we ended August, September, and we're getting ready for our teachers to start those courses here. They're going to complete their courses. When July rolls around, our staff stands ready to help them make sure that endorsement gets added to their certificate. But you can see on this timeline, we started this work way back in January with our principals. Principals are making recommendations. Teacher interests drive a lot of this. And so the principals work to populate a spreadsheet for us at the district level. And then we're all about transparency and making sure teachers feel empowered with having the right information to make an informed decision whether or not they want to be a part of an endorsement cohort. And so in May, we typically hold a virtual meeting where the teachers join us and can ask questions about their endorsement program. We also make sure they know the rigor that comes along with that, what they're signing up to do, right? And then we ask them to, we give them a district support staff person that supports them throughout the endorsement process, and we talk them through our add-on agreement. We actually are investing in our teachers. So by signing our add-on agreement, we're committing to pay for their registration. That's how much we believe in our teachers. And they're committing to stay in Jackson County for 3 additional years following that endorsement. So we really value this as a district team. You can see our current enrollment right now for each endorsement here on the screen. And we are just super proud of these teachers that have elected, after all of this, after hearing the rigor, after hearing the commitment for a year that they're adding to their family's personal calendars, right? After hearing that, oh, I'm going to sign an agreement to stay in Jackson County schools for an additional 3 years at the end of this year. This is the number of people by endorsement that we have starting courses in September. We're super proud of our teachers that are making this investment in themselves and their personal and professional growth. And I thank you as board members for supporting us in this. Any questions for us about endorsement? Okay. I did not pull that stat. Martha, you and I looked at that, and I don't remember that. We have quite a few. We do not offer compensation other than paying for their registration, which ends up being about $380 per course, and you think 3 to 4 courses per person that we're covering that for. Good question. Question. Valid point. Well, our gifted cohort tends to be very big each year, around this same number. This year, we've really endorsed that reading lens because literacy is one of our district focuses. So you're going to see that number is larger than it has been. In the last few years, we've not had anybody go through the reading endorsement. So I'm really proud with that 12 in registered people. Yes. Yes. Questions? Thank you.
All right, we'll roll right along through this agenda. So, human resources and student supports. Dr. Hardegreen.
Well, good evening. So each month I bring you the updates for our enrollment, and we always see just a little bump after Labor Day. So I reached out to Ms. Wilson, and she gave me the hot numbers off the press. We are at 9,916 students after Labor Day, but I'm sharing with you the numbers from the end of August. So last time we talked, we were just really working to clean up all of our enrollments and make sure that we had everybody withdrawn and everybody on the books who was with us. So I'll share with you where we are right now as of the end of August. We are up, and I'm going to compare back to where we ended at the end of last school year, up 572 students overall across the district. That's growth of about 6% total. And if you note, I won't go through each school, but we really do have some notable growth in our high schools. And we've had discussion about this, and I think it really speaks to our programs and our offerings to note that we have this many high school students joining us. Up 221 students at Jackson County High School and up 79 students at East Jackson from last year. So that's really noteworthy. Of course, we also see that intense growth at West Jackson Middle and North Jackson Elementary. So just continuing to watch that and use that for our planning. Any questions about enrollment? Well, that kind of leads me into the next piece that I wanted to share with you. And as we really think about our growth and we think thoughtfully and strategically as a district group and a community group, we wanted to go ahead and share with you a draft transition plan for Legacy Knoll. And we're just really so grateful for all of the input from our community and your support and just that continual thought process of what's best for students and how can we really come together as a community to do this well. So I want to share with you kind of three pieces. We're calling this our family, student, and staff transition plan, recognizing how important it is at every step of the way to support each of those groups. So first off the bat, we really wanted to just hear from our parent group, our community group. That has driven the decision making throughout this whole process. And we had a great meeting last Monday with that group. And we are just so grateful for that group of parent representatives. It's about 3 representatives from every school across the district. And you talk about spirited conversation and discussion at times. I would say they're a good example of some spirited conversation, but they really are looking through the lens of what is best for our students across the whole district. And so that was just really good to get that rich discussion to affirm some thinking and planning. So that was really that first piece of just hearing from them. We want to be thoughtful at each step of the way of being transparent and getting input as we go. So in this first piece, we're kind of talking about how are we getting input and how are we communicating along the way. Of course, tonight, we're talking together as a group and sharing this plan, and we'll continue to work together and make adjustments as we need to. But we do have prepared and ready also an update to provide to our staff following this meeting, knowing that as soon as we talk about things, it's really important to our staff to hear those updates in a timely manner. So that's in the plans for later this evening. And then next up would be talking with the faculties at each of our schools that would be impacted by that transition. So October 7th is our next teacher workday. So it's a great opportunity to meet with the faculties of each of those schools, North Jackson, Gum Springs, West Jackson Elementary, and West Jackson Middle School, to share updates and also to get their input to continue to drive that planning. And then November 16th being the next time that kind of right before we would be in the place to send out those letters of intent to get back together with our principal group. And of course, we'll have collaboration along the way, but being intentional about saying these are really pivotal points where we want to make sure that we hear everybody's voice, we work through all of the details, and that we can plan well together. So that's kind of our the pieces that we have in place there for community input, school input, staff input, and communicating out with them. Any questions about that part before I move on to our family and student? Okay, so just knowing how important it is to really bring our community together and across the whole district, because really when we think about growth, it's really looking at how are we addressing this from a whole district-wide perspective. We know that specifically we have some impacts here that are going to be on the west side, but it also impacts how we work together and plan for our whole district. So on October 19th, we usually do a combined school council meeting at some point during the year, but we felt like this would be a good strategic time to get those school councils from each of the west side schools that will be impacted to update them. We updated last March, but now there's a lot of new information, and we also want to get their input. So that'll be a little different group than the Parent Advisory Committee. That's the school council from each of those schools that'll They'll come together on that October 19th date. And then in December, we'd really like to go ahead and share with our families their attendance zones. So just recognizing that all throughout the way, there will be updates through various forms of communication out, and Mr. Hooper's been very thoughtful about going ahead and preparing those pieces, but recognizing the earlier that we can let our families know and draw them into building that community pride and that sense of assurance that they know where their students are headed and they have input and opportunity to be a part of that. So December being the time that they would be notified of that attendance zone through a personalized letter. So obviously a lot of behind the scenes work with not necessarily behind the scenes, it's transparent and out there, but work together to be ready for that and be able to communicate that to families in December. And then January through May, once students know that attendance zone, we want to give them the opportunity to take advantage of that House Bill 251 option if they would like to, and working together as school teams to make sure that we are prepped and ready and staffed and ready. So we would need to cut that off by June so that we can make sure that we're ready for our students in that next school year. And then in April, we would want to make sure that we offered great opportunities for our students headed to Legacy Knoll to tour that facility, to meet the principal, and to be ready, excited, and set for the new year. So along with all of the other transition activities that take place as students transition from elementary to middle school. So that's the family and student transition timeline. And then the other big piece is just really supporting our staff and coming together with our leaders across the district. There will be just a great need for collaboration and thinking and planning. So these are the pieces that we have in place for supporting that personnel transition. First step, posting for that principal position and getting that new leader in place so that the new principal can really drive that planning and work in close collaboration with Dr. Conway and the other West Side principals and principals across the district to plan, knowing that really our goal here is building strong teams, families, students, and staff at every school, and creating that great sense of assurance that everything has been done strategically and with input and clarity among all of those leaders and families. Next step, after we get that new principal in place, letters of intent will go out a little bit earlier, potentially, first off to West Jackson Middle School, to make sure that we give those teachers a chance to really think through thoughtfully their plans and to work through that. So November 14th for that first round of letters of intent and transfer requests to go out, and then we would follow with that district-wide process beginning on November 28th. Having all of those back in before we would leave for the Christmas break, so December 15th there. And then in January, really just to support and facilitate strong collaboration of the building leaders to go through the process of, and here I think it's so critical just to really think about building those relationships between our principals, getting to know the staff and those teachers and staff that are potentially interested in transferring. And again, building strong teams, getting to know how to put those pieces together so that we have really strong faculties at each of the schools as we prepare to open. So I envision that being a process where we would, of course, get those letters of intent and requests in, and then really spend a lot of time together in the schools, getting to know the needs and making sure that we're very strategic about putting those teams together so that we can feel assured that we have super strong teams at both schools. And that's what, continuing to communicate that and draw our families in to also build those relationships with the new principal, the new administrative team, and the teachers at that new school. So that's our plan, and we are excited about supporting our community. And to me, when you have an opportunity like this, it's an opportunity to really bring people together and to provide those opportunities for people to shine. So I'm excited about that work ahead. Questions about that transition plan, or any input or things that you might want to suggest that we might have missed?
I look forward to hearing reports back on the feedback that you do get from staff and parents. I think just seeing the what the new numbers will be at these schools should be excitement enough to really get behind this. So look forward to hearing back.
so far, and I think there is a great sense of relief at having a more long-term solution and recognizing. I think that also as we think about fewer transitions in the future for staff and think about building something that is potentially more of a lasting solution. That's some of the feedback that we've gotten. So exciting to be able to plan that way. Well, thank you, and I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Todd to share some Teacher of the Year excitement.
I am so excited to talk about teachers and wanted to share with you some things that we have done to revamp our celebration. First of all, we have developed a Support Person of the Year district-wide recognition. So a lot of our schools have done this on their own, and we are now rolling it out to ensure all of our schools recognize a Support Person of the Year and follow the same process to honor a district-level winner. I know you all know that we cannot operate without our support staff, and so I am so excited that we're going to have this way to acknowledge and recognize them and their dedication to our district. The next exciting thing we're doing this year that's a little different is we are going to host a banquet, and we will have a Teacher of the Year and Support Person of the Year banquet. You have a save the date card. Please make sure you mark it on your calendar. Mr. Hooper and I have been working very hard with getting community and local partners that are going to honor and shower these individuals with lots of love and gifts, and this will be just an intimate way that we can celebrate them. The focus will be completely on them for that evening. So we are so excited. You don't want to miss it. So save the date. Go ahead and get you something nice to wear, and we'll see you there. We will announce the district winners at that event. So we will go through all of the process you see on the timeline, and then it will be the big announcement at that banquet. So you don't want to miss it. Our schools have announced their winners, and I think that information is out there for schools, and it is my honor to share with you this evening those winners of Teacher of the Year and Support Person of the Year at the school level. You will see these outstanding employees shouted out in social media and on websites coming soon, but you heard it here first. For East Jackson Elementary School, the Teacher of the Year is Dawn Beatles Kindergarten, and Tanya Looney, Paraprofessional, is their Support Person of the Year. Gum Springs Elementary is Wendy Hindley, Bed Teacher, and Wanda Burns, Paraprofessional. Maysville Elementary is Dawn Brewer for 3rd grade, Hannah Gailey, Paraprofessional. North Jackson Elementary is Stacy Cantrell for 1st grade, and Linda Cantrell, Paraprofessional. South Jackson Elementary, Brittany Robertson, Kindergarten, and Ryan Polar, Counselor. West Jackson Elementary, Mary Ike, say it right, Ike, Sped Teacher, and Amanda Banks, their Front Office Secretary. East Jackson Middle School, Rebecca Hurd, Band Director, and Terry Smith, their Front Office Secretary. West Jackson Middle School, Kristen Howell, 7th grade Science, and Laurie Fitzgerald, their Attendance Clerk. East Jackson High School, Wesley Wheeler, Physical Education Teacher, and Mandy Byers, their Front Office Secretary. Jackson County High School, Danette O'Kelly, their ESOL Teacher, and Brianne Nash, their Front Office Secretary. And I'm going to have to stay tuned for Empower tomorrow because they are going to announce and celebrate their winners in the morning, and I don't want to spoil it. So stay tuned to social media tomorrow because those will be announced tomorrow, and I don't want to give it away because I know they've got something special planned. But what an honor it is to have all of these names and to be able to celebrate not only our teachers but our support staff as well this year. So we look forward to seeing you at the banquet, and we will be able to celebrate and have a great evening with all of these outstanding. And thank you for your support.
All right. Guess we'll move on to public relations. That is the next item.
Always fun to talk to you guys. Back. So, always a great night to talk about Jackson County. Had a busy.
We're glad you recognized that
That's right.
we let you come back.
You
I appreciate that.
Absolutely. a quick learner. Quick learner here. We've had a busy month to start, and that includes public relations. I want to draw your attention to our new PR goals and plans. This document really helped me figure out where we wanted to go in public relations. On that first page right there, our strategic goals. Item number 3 is something we haven't done in a long time, if ever, here in Jackson County. That'll be an annual report. That'll be at the end of every school year. That's really going to give us an opportunity to highlight our students, their success throughout the year, and really give us an idea of where we stand as a school system and each school individually. We'll publish that during the summertime. Item number 5 it mentions a quarterly memo. We just sent that quarterly memo out at the end of August. Got a lot of great feedback on that from our faculty and staff. That is distributed to anybody in Jackson County school system with an email, regardless of their title and their position. The goal of that was to really provide that transparency from the district office and the school administrators to everybody who works, make everybody feel valued and retain and want to be excited to come work here. We had input for that quarterly memo from every school in our school system, highlighted the key days coming up, stuff they were doing coming up, stuff that had happened, grants that were given out to teachers and schools. So it was really awesome to see the collaboration from all of our communications ambassadors at all our schools and our school administrators who helped put that together. So really a great thing there. The final page of the document, you'll notice a section entitled Publications of Various JCSS Media. I'll talk about this for a few minutes, so stay with me. This is all new to Jackson County school systems. Along with the internal memo, we produced a monthly Around the District podcast. I know if you listened, you heard Dr. Brown and myself sitting in my office talking about our school system. That came out at the end of the month. The reason for the podcast is to help with that transparency. Talk about what we have going on in our school system. It's for our faculty, our staff, our students, our stakeholders, our parents. Anybody who has Spotify, Anchor, YouTube, or our website can listen to it. So, I can tell you that at least 4 people listened to it. So it was really good. So that was good. No, we had a few more than that. Did
both of you guys have a device logged in? So that was 2.
It was him and me and our wives. So, but I couldn't even get my steps. No, I'm just kidding. Dr. Brown, those are, like I said, our first guest, and those are available on our Anchor and Spotify pages, free for everybody, and so that's a really great thing. After we started the district podcast, it kind of came to my idea was like, hey, why aren't we doing a high school athletic podcast for each school? So we started 2 high school athletic weekly podcasts. We call the Jackson County High School one the Paul podcast for Panther Athletic Weekly, and at East Jackson it's the Blue Pride podcast. We record those on Tuesdays or Wednesdays, and they're released on Thursdays at 6 a.m. We've had 2 episodes each for each school, and it's been a lot of fun. The faculty is involved in it, the school administrators. We've had Principal Stratemeyer was on the Blue Pride one today. We've had the athletic directors involved, and we've had coaches from volleyball, cross country, and football, along with athletes from every one of those sports. And I think it's a great opportunity that we are giving our students an opportunity to talk about their sport and highlight it. We have the feeder schools into those high schools sharing that on their newsletter. And the ultimate goal of those is to provide and to build community pride and support for our student athletes that are putting in the work on the field, track, and the courts. Should be noted that since releasing the podcast, we actually had a couple school systems reach out to us wondering how they can implement that where they're at as well. So I think it really says a lot that Jackson County Schools is kind of leading that charge for other school systems in our nearby area who want to take note of that as well. The final piece of media that we're producing here in Jackson County is our district features. This is a new JCSS media page on our website. You can access all the podcasts right there to your right, but also it's a place for our district features. We've produced 2 features. We do about every other week. The last one is on Dr. Katie Warwick and her connection to Maysville. For those that don't know, her grandfather went to Maysville Elementary, and so that's a pretty special story to write there. The first one we had was on Faith Kennedy, our East Jackson varsity softball coach, who is a state champion at East Jackson and is teaching at East Jackson Elementary. And she talks about her husband, who also won 7 state championships in cross country at East Jackson. So it was a really fun story to write, and we're going to continue to share those stories, hopefully every other week to share. And it should be noted that each of those stories has over 1,100 views on them since being released. So I think that says that people like reading about what we're doing in Jackson County at a very high level.
I will say I was happy to read about Faith. She's Faith Grooms to me, but
Right.
so when it said Faith Kennedy, I said, well, who's this? I thought we hired Faith Grooms, but so I think we need more of those.
Yes, sir.
She's an exceptional, was an exceptional athlete. In my mind, she was one of the best female athletes came through our system. And I'm proud we have her back. So that's good.
I think a lot of people on the east side are excited about her being back and being in charge of that program as well. We talked about her on the podcast. You need to, I guess you got to listen to tonight. You're on your way home. You know, we talk about Miss Kennedy. There you go.
I made some notes.
There you go.
We'll see the numbers tick up.
I like it. We'll get a fifth listen there, Dr. Brown. So, like I said, this is just a great way for us to share our Jackson County story. I think it really says a lot, the power of social media and the internet, and that we can do this ourselves and share our story. Finally, we recognized our first honorees of the 7 Mindsets on social media on Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. Tomorrow, as Cameron said, we'll be recognizing our teachers and support persons of the year on social media and through our websites. The schools will be announcing those on their pages at tomorrow afternoon as well. So that's what I have. Any questions? All right. Thank you all very much.
Some good information. Thank you.
you.
And we might let you come back. All righty. This is Bo's favorite time. We're going to talk about financial update. Miss Dodge.
Good evening, board members. We are going to start with our SPLOST information. And as you can see, we had another fantastic month of SPLOST receipts. It is, again, helping us tick up a little bit more each month with that average. Again, like Dr. Brown earlier, we are averaging between 1 and 1 cost revenues. Right? That's news for facility needs. Like, see, I told you when I moved here, when I moved to Jackson County, I told you our revenue, sales tax revenue was going to be better. It's all my online shopping. I'm helping out Jackson County now. Then if we want to move on to the general fund, you can see that we are right in line with where we should be as far as our expenditures, where we are. We're at 17% of the year completed. Again, with the new regulations of how we have to present financial information to you, that does include open purchase orders in that, but those are things that are sitting out there and have been committed to but not paid yet, so it doesn't impact our cash flow. So our fund balance dipped a little bit this month, as you can see, but again, that's beginning of the year. That's all of the additional mobile units set up. That's, annual renewals of licenses. It's liability insurance, transportation vehicle insurance, payments, that all the stuff that's made at the beginning of the year, and it does tend to impact our fund balance pretty significantly in the first couple of months of the year. But we should start seeing that tick back up, and of course, in November, we will start seeing property tax revenue coming in. And as you can see, comparing it to last year, we're in line with where we ended or where we were at this point last year. But again, a lot of it has to do with timing and when things are paid out at the beginning of the year, and when we start getting in some of our revenue from grants and those kind of items. Any questions? We're looking good. We're sitting in a great place, both SPLOST and general fund.
Don't worry, we'll let you come back next month too. All right. Okay. Last one in the barrel. Mr. Schofield.
Last but not least, right? Try to make it as quick as possible, but we do have a few important items to cover today or tonight. So first, Mr. Patton wasn't able to be with us tonight. He apologized. He had a conflict with a kid activity. So I'm going to send an update on our facilities, construction going on around our county, kind of what's on our agenda, kind of on the forefront. So we know we have the construction project at Legacy Knoll Middle School. It's moving along well. Met with that construction staff earlier this week, and we are still tracking the activities and the material deliveries and those type of things. Very pleased with the progress and process of it. East Jackson High, they continue with this turf, football field, and the track. There's been some installing the pads, and they're certainly resurfacing the track right now, as we'll see in just a second. Mentioned the pep rally and the ribbon cutting on the 16th. That on our calendar, involved in that, and of course, great activity. We've had our shot clocks installed. I believe our basketball gyms, East and Jackson County High. There's still some work to be done on the East High. I believe this is a wireless receiver that other work going on around the system. Gum Springs playgrounds being constructed. They're doing some installation on gates right now. I believe that's coming down to the end on that project. Also, we're looking at improvements on the Maysville Elementary playground and some media center furniture at East Jackson Middle. Intended to be installed soon as well. It's in order if it has not been delivered. Doing some upgrades there. Also, see if I've got. They're installing shot clocks, as I said, at both facilities. I think we had some pictures. If we can scroll down, of kind of the progress at Legacy Knoll Middle School. Continue to stroll. Of course, these are shared board members. Shot clock installations. Pictures of that. I believe that's been installed in the last few days, at the end of last week. See the fencing expansion at Gum Springs, the playground there. Also included a SPLOST summary. Clarity, I know I think you maybe have asked for this information in the past. We want to make sure we brought forth the information. This is on our Legacy Knoll project. Kind of a status report on that project. Questions on that from the board? Josh is doing a great job. Applaud him and his staff. Work they do. Before I move on to my next agenda, I would like to kind of speak of Sheila Briggs, our admin in the operations department. Her and Miss Amanda, our PR department, put up our pictures. I forgot to mention that first, but I do want to mention that. I thought that looked really, really well. Sheila climbing up and down on a ladder the other day was a little scary for me, but I guess she did get this. I appreciate anyone else that helped with that. Number 2 on my agenda is to bring forth the capital outlay application. We are asking for approval of this from the local board. The application has been submitted to the state. It has been approved by the state and returned to us for approval. Next step in this process is for local board to approve it. I think the best way to do this, it is an advanced funded application. The very last page, if we can scroll down, capital outlay is funded at 4 levels, basically. Legislative groups at the end of each session. Facilities team at Department of Ed are right now submitting this budget report to the budget offices. Actually, it was submitted yesterday to the governor's office, House budget, and Senate budget. They kick it around, take it to the legislative groups for approval during the legislative session. This is an advanced funded application. Normally, the legislative groups has an opportunity to fund 4 levels. They can fund it 100%, 80, 60, or 40. Regular application. On an advanced funded application, there's only 1 level. So it's forward funded. In law, it's basically funded up front. So very little way to not fund an advanced funded project from my experience. From my background, really not. Because of the law, when it's written in law, this is an avenue to get these. I want to say guaranteed, but it's pretty close. You can see the amount of this advanced funded application is set to right at $9 million, a little over that. In fact, we also have to sign a start date letter. Basically allows the state an opportunity to know when to sell the bonds. We will be starting this project really before the bonds become available. These funds will not be available to be reimbursed until August or September, really a year. They'll be approved through the session. Bonds will be sold in June. They'll be available to the districts August, September. Any questions on the advanced funded application? It is for a 67 IU K5 facility. And it is about 100,000 square feet. That's very similar to our Gum Springs facility, really the same size as Gum Springs, or our West Jackson as a comparison. It houses approximately 1,000 students. Okay. Questions? Next item on my agenda is an item of information support from the board because we're moving forward with capital outlay approval of that capital outlay application, and because we are looking at a time frame of opening this facility in August of 2024, as explained earlier, really needing to move in good fashion. We need to get on it. Got meetings set up next week, and really would like to get approval or authorization from the board to allow us to negotiate with our architect, move forward with that architectural agreement. Not able to come to an agreement, we'll come back to the board at that time, explain that as we sign that architectural agreement, we'll certainly communicate that with the board. But we are looking for support, allowing us to discuss that with them so that we may move forward with those discussions and they begin the process. Questions on that item?
Just want to remind you, this will be voted on Monday night.
We're going to go into discussions with Southern A&E, the architectural firm we've used for Jackson County High. We also did the work at Legacy Knoll. As we're looking at that, it's looking at the same site, Highway 332, for this facility. So in that, the architectural design tends to have the same features across the board. I think we've got the ability to negotiate. I think we're going to get around the table and tell them what we're able to pay, and I think it should be. That's going to be the first thing at the table. And I've been in that discussion and said, we're not looking at this fee. We're looking to. Architects are paid on a percentage, of course, as most of us know, with the rising cost of construction. I'm not being critical of architects by no means, but as construction costs have increased, their fees have increased for the same work. I think we've got some.
I trust they'll be able to come back with a reasonable fee that we can live with and continue on with the work that y'all have done, programming the facility and getting it to work, so we can keep this schedule. I think that's the biggest thing.
We are on a tight schedule.
But we will need to vote on this Monday. So if there are any questions, let's try and see if we can't get them addressed before Monday.
So our next item on the board agenda is, once again, because of a tight timeline, if we're moving forward with this, our plan, we began looking at a schedule of events and started looking at our October board meeting. We had originally thought we could wait on this item till our October board meeting due to the timing of trying to bid for CM Services. I'd like to move forward with that construction delivery method. No, this is a complicated project. We feel like it's very valuable to us to hire CM early so they can work with the architects in planning, move forward in that fashion. Tried to look at the different construction delivery methods, competitive seal proposals. That would be kind of a hard bid with some other considerations in the bidding process. But we looked at a timeline. If you hard bid it, you really don't hard bid it until late March or April. This way we can get this design firm and the contractor can kind of value engineer the project, cut some costs, because that's important. You know, I like hard bid. Yeah. If you ask me for my old position, there were projects where I preferred a competitive sale proposal or even a hard bid. The technicalities of this project, I really think it is my opinion, and from my position, I would say that this is the best construction delivery method with a time frame of 22 months. Try to get it open before August of 20. That would be my recommendation.
Mr. Hollett brings up a good point, and everyone should understand the discussion that we had this very discussion the other day, and the facility is not like some of our elementary schools, one level with the core and the hallways. It's 3 levels. It's packed on a postage stamp. There's stream buffers in the rear, and we need to be in this. And so what Pat shared with me, he was more confident on the delivery time of the school opening, so to speak, if we went this route and we got someone on board. So I trust they're going to find the right firm. They're going to put some controls in place to ensure we have some price competitiveness, but we are working together collaboratively. The 3-story facility is something that we need to be mindful of. So, but again, this is something we're going to vote on Monday night, and certainly if you have any questions, we certainly want to talk about it. I kind of peppered them the other day, and then I sent Dr. Brown some by text after that. So I'm comfortable with it, but we want y'all to be comfortable with it. So.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Clares.
Hopefully they'll let me come back Monday night. Well, I guess we'll see.
Thank you all.
All right, thank you. All righty. Philip, I think we've covered it all. All right. Well, being none, no further business, we'll see everyone here Monday night, 6:30. We stand adjourned. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight.